Hey, everybody, Dr. Grant here, and today we are going to be talking about the best supplements I currently use to eliminate ADHD symptoms. Now, this will vary from person to person, but I kind of gathered to get today all the different bunch of different case studies that really help me determine when I'm working with my clients with ADHD, or even for myself that I do have ADHD, to see what are the best supplements that are working currently. And so the very first thing that I want to kind of address that I think is a big problem with you with ADHD and the supplements that you might be looking for is, are you someone that, is forgetting all the time and you're having memory issues? Now, this is a very common issue amongst adults with ADHD and even young people too. But tends to, what I've noticed, it tends to get worse as we get older. And because we have we tend to have, we are more prone to having things like dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So sometimes it can end up being worse. So we definitely want to prevent that. And so two big things that I typically will see as an issue that are great supplements that are working for my patients in this area is just like this patient where their serine levels were low, that can definitely impact your memory and forgetting all the time. And so we want to make sure that that's not an issue when we're testing for things like this. And so a great one to implement is phosphatidylserine if your serine levels are low, because that does impact memory. And so that definitely would help improve memory and not forgetting all the time, which would be a great one to implement. And so I do recommend this quite a bit when I do see that the test levels are low, just like this patient was. Now, another one that is really important to look at is, what if, like, some of the big common symptoms that we do see with ADHD is definitely can't focus and there's no motivation. Right. So if we see this being an issue, typically what we'll see in testing is a few things. And this is very classic ADHD, is that we'll see tyrosine levels are low. We'll also see dopamine levels tends to be low. So definitely those two big things tend to be an issue. Not always the case, but we will see that as a problem. And so what we'll do in that case, like I did with this patient, is we want to make sure that we're supplementing something that will combat both of these, and something that will have both tyrosine in it, like a Dopa Boost has. So it's an L-tyrosine in it. It also has mucunapurines, which mucunapurines really has L-Dopa in it. And as you can see right here, that's going to help with dopamine. I also like it that has green tea extract, which basically is L-theanine, that also is going to help with improving dopamine. And so that's definitely something that I think is important, that we're covering all the bases here. But also on top of that, it does have vitamin B6, the activated form of vitamin B6. And why that is vital is because it does help with every single one of these step processes when it comes to helping making dopamine. So this is something that, I've seen drastically change my patients' symptoms, like within just like a week or two. I've had someone within just like the first week of them supplementing something like Dopa Boost say that, wow, a lot of my ADHD symptoms have dissipated. And that's because they were deficient in mainly these three areas: is tyrosine, dopamine, and also even norepinephrine. We'll sometimes see that low as well. So that's another really great one to incorporate if you are having deficiencies in these specific areas. Now, another great one to also consider is, I see this probably about 80% of the time with ADHD patients, is where we'll see phenylethylamine levels are low. If I can get the highlighter, there we go. Phenylethylamine levels are low. And so when that is happening, we want to make sure that we're addressing that and not ignoring that, because sometimes we might see that and we don't see that dopamine is an issue, as you can see from this patient. Their dopamine levels were fine, but their phenylethylamine levels are low. So what do we do in that case? So in that case, we kind of want to look at, okay, what helps build phenylethylamine? And that's going to be phenylalanine. So adding something like DL phenylalanine. Now, why DL? Because DL is the better absorbed kind versus just taking D phenylalanine or just L phenylalanine. So I like to do both. And I find that helps improve increasing the levels. Now, this also, not only can it help with focus and motivation, what I've experienced for my own personal use with it is it has helped me with my short-term memory issues. So if you're someone that always will go on your phone and realize, what was I looking up? What was I doing beforehand? You always have those moments. This can be a great one that would help me significantly when I'm supplementing this. And then when I find that I am off of it, because usually I do pretty good with my foods because you can get this through diet. But sometimes when my diet's not the best, I'll have to supplement again because I'll have those moments again. So it's really kind of important to making sure you're not only getting it through your supplements, but also through your foods. So you don't always have to rely on the supplements. So another one that's also really great, another scenario this might be is, you're still having the issues of focus and motivation. And so a patient that I had is that they were low on a lot of different things. So not only were they low on phenylethylamine and tyrosine, but also dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, some of your big ones. This is where when I see this, a great one to implement as far as a supplement that I think it's been really working really great with my patients and clients is Dopatone Active. Now, why I like Dopatone Active is because it has pretty much hits everything in this process. It has, for example, it has DL-phenylalanine, so that helps with this. It also even does have phenylethylamine in it directly, so that's going to help with improving those levels. It has N-L-acetyltyrosine, so that's going to help improve his low tyrosine levels. It has N-L-acetylcysteine, so NAC, and that has been known to help actually improve a lot of different neurotransmitters. So as well as alpha-lipoic acid. And then it also has mucuna in it, which that's going to help improve dopamine. All these are going to help improve dopamine, but it also has vitamin B6, as I already said before. You want to be able to improve that because that is going to help with every single one of these ways of how it helps build and modulate dopamine. So this one's really great if you are someone that has definitely all low. So you want to definitely be careful here, but implementing this every time I see this, it makes such a big improvement in my patients and clients that suffer with this, just like how it did with this patient. Now, another area that could be an issue is maybe you have different symptoms. Maybe you have more depressed and you're unfocused. So you have those depressive symptoms. So in this case, what I will typically will see is you might have, norepinephrine levels that are low, epinephrine, but also serotonin. So serotonin is definitely going to be a big culprit of why you're feeling more depressed if it's low. And it's good to see, okay, is that a specific issue and what do we do in that case? So in this case, we're wanting to work with a different neurotransmitter pathway, which is the serotonin pathway, right? And so some great ones to implement is obviously 5-HTP can help build serotonin. So this is what I did with this patient. And also L-tryptophan is another great one that you can also implement. Now, another one I like for both for the serotonin as well as the dopamine pathway is incorporating L-theanine because they help with both. It also helps with GABA. So it's a great one to use for most people, I would say. There's a few exceptions, but typically for most people, L-theanine is great for people with ADHD. And it's what's been really currently working a lot with my patients when it's supplemented correctly. Now, another one might be is that you're dealing with high anxiety and stress and agitated and you're unfocused. So if that's you, obviously you definitely want to pay attention here because this is very common amongst people with ADHD. In fact, about more than 50% of people with ADHD tend to have also general anxiety disorder. And what I find here is we find the opposite is where dopamine will be elevated. But not only that, we might also see serotonin also elevated, just like with this patient, and also GABA elevated, right? So this is something that we have to keep in mind that because this patient actually was on medication for not only for dopamine, but also for serotonin. So when you're on a supplement that increases these levels, it can make things worse like it did for this patient. And the effects of that is you're going to feel more agitated, anxious. It's what we call serotonin syndrome. And it's you can't even function. And it's not a good situation to be in. And so if this is the case, what do you do? Well, one, you probably should be talking to your prescribing doctor or possibly, changing the dosage, changing the medication. Obviously, don't do it on your end. You don't ever just completely go cold turkey off your medication. Could make actually things worse. So you have to be really careful about this. You want someone managing this. And if you're having these symptoms, you definitely need to be talking to your prescribing doctor about this. But what the supportive treatment can do, and so when I see this with my patients, like I did with this patient, what we incorporated were a few things that helped start balancing these levels into a more healthier range right here. And L-theanine, I already mentioned about this. That's a great one. But another one you can incorporate is rhodiola rosea. And that one does help bring things more into balance, but also things that can be deficient. And this is where it's important to look at different micronutrient deficiencies. And a lot of times it's going to be B vitamins that are not breaking down things like serotonin. It's not breaking down dopamine and GABA. And so that's why you're starting to see a spike in them, because it's not being utilized in the body. And so we have to look to see, is there certain cofactors that are not helping breaking down these different neurotransmitters. And so a lot of times it's going to be B vitamins, and that's going to be a really big one to incorporate. Okay. So another thing too, to keep in mind is along the same lines of being stressed, you could also feel very exhausted and unfocused. So who here, feels like that way? Well, let me know in the chat. Like, that is so common amongst adults to feel very exhausted and unfocused and stressed all at the same time. And typically this has to do a lot with hormones that we have to look at. If that is the case, if you're experiencing these things. So just like you see in this patient, this one's interesting, and it does happen, is where we'll see cortisol levels being low, but then they spike, just like it did with this person. And so you have to tackle this with two different things to find the right supplements that's going to help balance this, because you can't just take one, expect it's going to balance both the spike situation of the cortisol and also the low cortisol. So there's two supplements that I think that have really helped with balancing this out. One is using adrenal desiccated when it's low. So very first thing in the morning. But when it's spiked, you want to use something different. Cortisol manager, because it has things like ashwagandha in it. It also has magnolia in it. So those two things can help lower your cortisol. Oh, sorry, let me use a different color here. So you're going to want to use it for this patient. It was using it in the afternoon and also evening to help lower those down. And once we implemented that helped him not only help with the stress, but helped improve his energy, especially first thing in the morning, and helped him be more focused throughout the day. But if we were just to only implement just the adrenal desiccated and did it right here, like if we did it right here as well, without even knowing and just going at it blind, it could have made things worse. Probably would have. He actually would have felt more stress. But knowing this information, I knew we only were supposed to do it first thing in the morning and then use something like Cortisol Manager to put it in the afternoon and early evening. This is why it's so vital, you guys, is to actually test first to really see what supplements do you really need to be using in order for it to work effectively. So this is what I see common, but it does change from person to person of what's going to work and what's going to be effective. But I mean, if you would like to get the same kind of results like many of my other clients have, I'd love to help you out, because doing this alone, it isn't easy. It's not an easy process. And here's why I say that, because you need to find the root cause of your ADHD symptoms or your focus issues or your memory issues or why you're fatigued. You need to find what is the root problem of it. Why is it causing you that? And you need a more customized plan that's going to get you the results because it's more tailored to your needs. But not only do that, you do need to analyze and adjust it and be more accountable. Someone that can hold you accountable and analyze and adjust treatment plan so it's going to work with your lifestyle. Okay. But so here's exactly, I can help you out. So, my health experts and I have actually set a time to speak with you personally and to help you actually start getting results right away. And so it's called the Focus Mindset Strategy Session. And in this Focus Mindset Strategy Session, we'll put together a specific plan for your situation to help you have better focus so you can actually excel in life, finally, with your ADHD or your focus issues. So here's exactly how we'll do this together. First, we'll uncover what is behind your ADHD symptoms, right? Like, why are you having these symptoms specifically? And it's definitely your blind spot because it's something that you have never been told, because it's never been looked at of the different labs or things, because you probably just only been assessed through a client questionnaire. And that's how you got diagnosed with ADHD. But it's probably something that you've never been told. And it's always different from each person to person. Not one ADHD person is the same. And so the other thing is that then we'll customize a plan of action that will get you finally unstuck. And then finally, we'll determine if it makes sense for us to work together more closely. Okay. So what is part of the focus mindset strategy session? So it's with me or with one of my health experts. And what it includes is a 45-minute one-on-one personalized strategy session with me or one of my health experts. You also do get, when you do purchase, you get access to our lifestyle nutrition and tracking app that we use with all our patients and clients to track all the different symptoms that people that causes their symptoms. And so this helps us really do the detective work to see what's really going on. And then you do get bonus access to my ADHD health course. So this teaches you different lifestyles and foods to implement and different standard labs that you can implement to help with your ADHD. And that's $597 value. So you get all of this as a full value of $1,647. But you get this all today for just only $297. So if you are interested and really want to finally tackle your ADHD, this is the best thing that you could do, is just book in a consultation either with me or one of my health experts. So all you got to do is click on the link in the description below. Once you have done that, then you'll come here, you'll purchase. Now, that's very important. Once you purchase, you still have to book your appointment. So it'll take you to this page. You want to hit book now. Then you'll take you here. And then you'll want to select a practitioner, whatever works best for your time. You pick the date and time that works best for you. And then once you've done that, then you'll fill out your information, your name, email, obviously you need to fill that all out. And then this is very important. You want to make sure once you've done that to really check your email. Make sure that you got your Practice Better invite to the client portal. That's where you'll activate your Practice Better account. Make sure you got your confirmation appointment. And then before the call starts, you want to, like I said, activate your Practice Better account. And then, I just dropped my pen. And then you want to make sure, this is very important, you need to fill out the client questionnaire. This is how me and the health experts will actually determine what will be the best labs to implement and understand more of your medical history. So it's important that you do that. And then if you do have any standard labs, you can upload those. I would say in the past year, I know it says here, last 2 years, but basically last just a year. That's all we need. It's not a requirement. It's just if you have some standard labs from just doctors, it just helps us understand more about your medical history. Like if you have diabetes or hypertension or stuff like that, it's good to kind of just look at what's going on there if that is the case. And then make sure to always, block out 45 minutes to an hour. Sometimes we might go the full hour, and then please do show up early, because it's really important that you do. We give you a 10-minute grace period. If not, then we have to mark it as a no-show. And the other thing is, if you do have a significant other or spouse, please book a date and time that works best for both of you. We do require that they're there because we need to understand the outside perspective of your significant other or your spouse to understand your situation. It helps us give a more perspective of how challenging your ADHD is. So please have them there. We do require that. So book a date and time that works best for you there. So if you are really wanting to finally tackle your ADHD and understand why do you have these issues and why you've not been able to solve it, this is the best thing that you could absolutely do, is clicking in that description, the link in the description below, to book in that consultation either with me or one of my health experts. Thank you guys so much for attending, and I'll see you guys all on the next live stream. Thanks.